You know what's crazy? Everybody looks at a new land bid and thinks, wow, another record land bid. But smart buyers? They look at that same headline and ask, what does this do to every other project around it? And that is where things get interesting. Because this new Dover site? This isn't just another government land sale. This could be the launch that resets expectations for the entire area. Not just for upcoming projects, but also for the launches that are already in the market right now. So in this video, let's break it down simply. What's coming up, what already exists, and why this Dover land bid could quietly change the conversation for buyers, sellers, and investors. So here's the big picture. The Dover site came in with a top bid of about $951 million, which works out to roughly $1,556 per square foot per plot ratio. That is a very strong land rate for this location. Future homes on the site could potentially launch around the high 2,000 PSF, and possibly even start from the low 3,000 PSF, depending on product positioning, design, and finishes. Now pause there for a second, because once land gets bought at that kind of price, the developer is not showing up to play small. That means the future project at Dover is likely to enter the market with a very clear message. Hey, this location has gone up a level. And once that message hits the market, buyers naturally start comparing it with everything else nearby. That's why this is not just a Dover story. It's a pricing story, it's a positioning story, and honestly, it's a psychology story. Let's talk about the upcoming launches first. When you line them up by land cost, the Dover site is sitting right near the top of the pack. You've got projects like Hudson Place Residences at around $1,037 PSF PPR, Lucerne Grand at around 1132, Tellock Blonga Road at around 1326, Amberwood at Holland at around 1432, and now Dover Drive at about 1556. Only the Bukit Road site in the chart is higher. So within this comparison set, Dover is already entering the market from a very elevated land cost base. And what does that tell you? Simple. The future Dover launch is unlikely to compete by being cheap. That's not the game. It will probably compete on location, connectivity, prestige of the micro-market, product quality, and the idea of being a fresh benchmark. That matters because when a project comes in with benchmark energy, it changes how buyers rank alternatives. Suddenly the conversation becomes, do I buy the brand new premium one later? Or do I buy something already available now before the next benchmark arrives? That's the real tension. Now let's look at the existing launches. The deck shows a pretty wide spread. In District 5 and nearby districts near 1 North, you've got existing launches averaging roughly Faber Residence, around $2,155 PSF. Blossoms by the Park and Linden Woods, around $2,400 PSF plus minus. Bloomsbury Residences and Nava Grove, around $2,500 to $2,600 PSF. And Elta, Terra Hill, and Adit BT, around $2,600 plus PSF. So when you compare those existing average prices with the suggested potential pricing narrative for Dover, one thing becomes obvious. Dover may not come in as a mild step up. It could come in as a statement. And when that happens, existing launches suddenly become very interesting. Why? Because buyers love relative value. Not cheap, relative value. That means if the future Dover launch starts pushing toward a new pricing ceiling, then some of today's existing launches may begin to look more attractive by comparison, especially the ones that already have good locations, better certainty, visible product, known layouts, and established pricing. In other words, a future expensive launch can actually make current projects look smarter. That's the part many people miss. So what's the real question a buyer should be asking? Not, is Dover expensive? That's too basic. The better question is, compared to what? Compared to an upcoming launch with a much higher land cost and likely higher entry price, some existing launches may look like they still have room. And compared to older launches in nearby districts that are already transacting in the mid-$2,000 PSF range, Dover's future pricing may feel aggressive, but not impossible. That's how markets move, not in isolation, in comparison. A buyer doesn't buy a project in a vacuum. They buy against alternatives. So if Dover comes out strong, it could validate prices at existing projects nearby. And if existing projects move first, they may reduce the sticker shock for Dover later. That's why these launches don't compete in a straight line. They actually shape one another. So, Upcoming launches versus existing launches. Who wins? Honestly, depends on who the buyer is. If you are the kind of buyer who wants the newest product, the freshest story, the latest design language, and you don't mind paying for that, then the upcoming launches will always have strong appeal. There's something powerful about being early to a new benchmark. But if you are more value-conscious, more numbers-driven, more practical, then existing launches may offer a better risk-reward profile. Because with existing launches, you can already see where pricing sits, what the product feels like, how the stacks compare, what surrounding competition looks like, and whether the project is already underpriced relative to what's coming next. That's huge, because certainty has value too. And I think that's the biggest message from this Dover story. The market is telling us something. Developers are still willing to bid hard for strong sites. That means they believe buyers will support higher future prices in the right locations. So whether you're looking at Dover, Holland, Bukit Timah, Media Circle, or the broader District 5 belt, the real takeaway is this. The window for comparing today's launches against tomorrow's pricing may not stay open forever, because once the next wave launches, today's expensive can become tomorrow's that was actually not bad. And that happens all the time. All the time. So here's the bottom line. The Dover site is important not just because it sold well. It's important because it may reset expectations. For upcoming launches, it raises the bar. For existing launches, it may strengthen the value story. And for buyers, it creates a very simple decision. Do you wait and pay for the next benchmark? Or do you move now while comparison still works in your favor? Reach out to me to strategize your next sale and purchase. Having a good grasp of the new homes and resale market will position you well in the next phase of asset restructuring. I look forward to serving you with my 21 years of experience in the market. Thank you.